Hey everybody, welcome to video number 17, Introduction to ENVI. This is the first video of week 4, and we're going to be jumping into ENVI with both feet this week. I had hoped to keep the class mostly in ArcMap this semester, but it turns out that a lot of what we need to do really requires ENVI, so we're going to have to learn both software packages. Luckily, they're laid out pretty similarly, and you already know a lot of the core concepts of Arc, so learning ENVI should go pretty fast. So in this video I want to remind you how to map a network drive in a slightly different way, get you oriented in ENVI, show you how to add data in ENVI, how to display data as an RGB, and also how to export files. This last topic is going to be particularly important because we're going to often be doing processing in ENVI and then want to export the processed image back into ArcMap, which is a little better at actually displaying graphics and exporting nice maps. So the first thing to do is to map a network drive, and to do that you need to go to the computer icon. When you're there you'll see this map network drive, and I'm actually going to map two drives. I'm going to map the main course folder, splinter/courses/GL222. Then I'm going to map another drive, which is going to be my own personal student folder. So splinter/ggstudents/wamedon. And as you should do when we start every lab, the first thing I'm going to do is actually go ahead and copy the whole Lab 4 folder from the course folder into my personal folder. I really recommend you get this done before lab, and we may not have as many slow data transfer moments as we're trying to get lab started this week. Look how fast that copied. That's great. All right, so now let's go ahead and open ENVI. So that's right off the All Programs ENVI. I'm going to open regular ENVI as opposed to ENVI plus IDL. IDL is a programming language that we won't be using much in this course. Okay, so my main ENVI window is open now. I've got my table of contents over here, which is called a layer manager in ENVI. I got my toolbox over here. I got a bunch of commonly used tools up top. And let's add some data. So to do that, I'll go File, Open As. What's great about ENVI is that it has preloaded schemes to quickly load a whole bunch of types of different remote sensing imagery. The advantage of that is that it reads the metadata really easily and brings stuff in much more smoothly than Arc. So today we're going to be using a Landsat image. I'll choose GeoTIFF with metadata. Go back to Computer, and specifically I'm going to navigate into my student folder, find my Lab 4 that I just copied under Tutorial and Landsat. I'm going to find the 7 or 8 bands of my Landsat image. Go ahead and load band 1. This is an image of the Champlain Valley. It's actually one we've used before. So ENVI's going to take a second, build some pyramids. Then I can right-click on this, zoom to layer extent. Here's the image. Here's Lake Champlain. Now, to look at contrast stretches in ENVI, it's really easy. It's all going to be right along this toolbar. I'm just going to go in. I'm going to choose a linear 2% stretch. It's going to bring out some of the contrast in my image a little bit better. Notice I've got a bunch of other options here. I can adjust the brightness of the image manually. I can adjust, I believe this is the contrast of the image manually. I'm going to put that back to linear 2%. Can also sharpen the image a bit, and we'll talk more about that later. Also, I've got my zoom in, zoom out tools up here, and I can even just draw right on the image if I want using this annotation tool, things like that. So the next thing to become familiar with is called the Data Manager. It's up here on the left, and this shows you all the images that are currently open. Really important to know that in ENVI, any image that's open is going to show in Data Manager, but then you can actually take things off of your Layer Manager. Okay, so I'm going to right click and remove that off my Layer Manager. It does not go away from the Data Manager. So it's still technically open, it's just not displayed. And if I want to display an image off of my Data Manager, I can just click on the band I want to display, right click, and I'm going to load it as a grayscale. And now it's back basically to where we were before, although we need to stretch it again. Alright, so that was a single band image. Let's go ahead now and add an RGB image. So I'll go File, Open as, Landsat, GeoTIFF again. This time I'll navigate into the Landsat clip stack. This is a clipped and stacked subsegment of the same image. So this puppy opens up, and you can see in Data Manager now we've got 7 Landsat bands. Okay. And what's really cool about this, if you want to load it as an RGB, go down to Band Selection, and then it's going to let you pick which bands you want to display as red, green, and blue. So I'll highlight the red cube, and then I'll pick band 3, and then it's going to automatically highlight the green next. I'll pick band 2, it automatically highlighted the blue. I'll pick band 1, and then I'll hit Load Data. And that should display this as an RGB display. So I'm going to zoom to that. And sure enough, there is an RGB display of that subset image. I'll give that a 2% stretch. Great, there's our image. Here's Middlebury, here's Dunmore, here's the mountains. So one of the things that's pretty cool about this is that using Data Manager, I can actually load multiple RGB displays. So let's say I wanted to do a false color image where I made red the infrared band. So I just choose, once again, 4, 2, 1 combination. They pop up here. I'll hit Load Data. And you can see it's added another visualization of the image here, which is this infrared colored red image. And I just click that off if I want to see my true color below it. So really what's in your Layer Manager are different RGB visualizations as opposed to the actual data. Okay, so that's how we visualize data. The final thing I'll show you is how to export a file. Supposing you've done a calculation, you've got a new image, and you want to get it out to ArcGIS, for example. That's going to be over on the toolbox. It's going to be under Raster Management. And then I'll go down and New File Builder. Okay, brings up this interface. I'll choose to import a file. Let's say I wanted to export band 1. I'll just hit OK. I have the option actually to clip it here as I export it, but I'm going to skip that option. Then I can choose File and find myself a file name, save it somewhere I like. Of course, I hit OK, and it would export that file. Well, thanks for listening. Just to review, you've learned how to map a network drive, how to get oriented in ENVI, how to add data, display data, and export files. Definitely tune in to our next video where I'll show you how to clip an image in ENVI. And we'll get started on this week's example. Thanks a lot.